Hello, my name is Breann Thompson, and I'm a member of First United Methodist Church of Pittsburgh, and I've been asked to reflect on the topic or the idea of peace in disruption. The story that we're reflecting on today is an iconic Jesus moment. The man is walking on water. It's astonishing. It's so astonishing, in fact, that the disciples think he must be an apparition, a ghost, a disruption of the natural order in a moment when the natural order is already disrupted by a huge storm. There's a lot happening. That feels really familiar to me. We're living through moments with disruption upon disruption upon disruption. So many elements of our lives are upended that it can be challenging to distinguish between the hits. They just keep coming. At least for me, disruption has started to feel more like the norm. I mean, it's definitely feeling more like the norm than whatever peace was or is. When I was asked to reflect on peace in disruption, my first inclination was to kind of snort softly to myself and crack a joke about how I wouldn't even know what that feels like. But the phrase stuck with me, peace in disruption. And so I got out my Bible and I found my way to Matthew 14, and I got to reading. And it was two verses in the middle of the passage that really jumped out at me, verses 29 and 30. Jesus invites Peter to come to him, to walk on water himself. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." When he saw the wind, he was afraid, and he began to sink. And I don't know that I've ever identified with a biblical character more than I do with Peter in this moment. Because when I see the wind, I am afraid, and I begin to sink. A few months ago, I was in the car, making my way from Pittsburgh to Morgantown, en route to meet the helicopter transporting my dad to Ruby Memorial. Many of you know he'd had a stroke, and disrupted feels like the calmest possible word to describe the moment, the minutes, the hours. And I saw the wind, and I was afraid, and I began to sink into myself. And then my brain provided me with music. In fact, the music it provided was something that the First Church Choir had recorded toward the beginning of the pandemic. Peace be still. Peace be still. The storm rages. Peace be still. And that peace, for me, on that drive, it was not absolute, and it wasn't constant, but it came. It came when I cried out. It came for me as song, and it came as friends, and it came as clarity of purpose. As I understand it, Peter isn't lesser because of his fear or for his crying out, and it is my fervent belief that the same holds true for us. There can be peace in disruption, and you are not broken if you cannot find it on your own.